This week in the business of tech, the state of play for IT spend on security, cloud, and even GPUs. Do you know about hiring stars? You should. Some generational differences to consider in the workplace, why customers leave MSPs and why they stay, Mainframes at FedEx and why we care, and Enable and Acronis moves to consider. All these stories and more. Hit those like, subscribe, and the notification button and help us pay the bills. And here are this week's stories. First day back after a long holiday weekend in the US, and it seems like a good starting place to be the lay of the land. Let's look at IT spend first. InfoWorld reporting on CIO spend, quoting the piece. When asked which IT projects they were more or less likely to fund if the economy drops into a recession, CIOs put security at the top of the list, both for immunity to cuts, ahead of everything else, including digital transformation, a strong second, and for growth in spending, just behind cloud computing. Where are enterprises spending? By some reports, funds are being funneled to identity and access management, messaging security, and networking security, among other things. Money is going to managed security services, according to IDC, plus automated application testing, and more. Let's also note an impact of the crypto crash. GPUs are now available, quoting The Verge. Over the past 6 months, the street price of a modern GPU has been chopped in half. Almost every graphics card we track fell by more than 50% on eBay since January, 30% of that since April alone. IDC watching the relative spend between cloud and non-cloud infrastructure to measure the change in purchasing of traditional data center compute storage equipment and IT infrastructure in public clouds from AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, and others such as DigitalOcean. The key tipping point the market is about to hit is the amount spent on shared cloud IT infrastructure will overtake spending on traditional IT gear for data centers in 2022 for the first time. That isn't to say non-cloud providers will do poorly, they're just not growing as fast. Why do we care? IT security isn't getting cut by big companies, because you can't abandon it. While security is a tax on the business owners know they can't just walk away. That cloud data too. The cloud is right in there for protected spend and is growing faster. Smart, safe bets. Now let's consider second order effects. Crypto slows and the GPU market opens back up again with lower prices. It's the consideration of those impacts that will be key during this slowdown. It will be industry driven and it will be location driven and it will be very customer driven. That's going to be top of mind. Now, let's look at some data related to people. CIO Dive looks at the requirements changes for job candidates, those skilled through alternative routes, or STARS, quoting the piece. A 2022 report by the Burning Glass Institute found that some 46% of middle-skill occupations and 31% of high-skill occupations saw degree requirements reset between 2017 and 2019. More recently, Maryland state government dropped 4-year degree requirements for the thousands of roles, and the push to hire for skills over degrees even received a shout-out at the 2022 State of the Union address. But employers seeking to expand opportunities to STARS may need to consider making more fundamental changes to how they hire. That could mean a full reset of all positions from top to bottom. I also noted 2 pieces of data. New census data from the Census Bureau showing an aging U.S. population at a median age up 3.4 years, and a more diverse one. Every race and origin group grew from July 2020 to July 2021, except the white population, which fell 0.03%. More interesting, the location moves, more to the west and the Sun Belt during the pandemic. The second is research from the New York Fed. Since 2021, Hispanic and Black Americans have experienced slightly higher inflation rates than white or Asian Americans. The study highlights how the Consumer Price Index is average and doesn't give enough insight into how different households are experiencing price increases. Why do we care? While the research goes into making monetary policy more inclusive, and I'd encourage follow-up reading, my takeaway follows up on the last piece. Similar to inflation impacting different demographics, industries will also feel different ones. We may be sifting through a lot of data to find ones that relate to your business, which may differ from a similar company in another town or industry. On hiring, how impactful would it be to make very distinct changes to the screening process to move to those skilled-through alternative routes? There's a power in that diversity of thought too, and opening up the filters can prove a wise choice in the current state of play. I covered economic data plus some hiring and financial data yesterday, and today let's look at the new round of employee surveys. Genpact's Tech for Progress 360, Engage Employees, Strengthen Company Culture study found that 97% of business leaders think hybrid work environments will not damage corporate culture long term. Nearly two-thirds, at 62% of respondents, said hybrid working arrangements will continue next year. 24% said they expect work to be primarily remote, and only 13% expect mostly in-office work. One of the main challenges for employees working remotely is maintaining casual interactions with other coworkers. During the pandemic, 91% of respondents said most employee interactions have shifted toward problem solving and away from socializing. The relationship between managers and the people they oversee has also been negatively impacted in 42% of organizations. This dynamic hinders the development of future leaders, the report said. Another challenge that 48% of employers said they face because of remote and hybrid work arrangements is integrating new hires into the organization. Pair that with Eden's recent Where Tech Works report, which says employees in the tech sector preferred to be in office. In addition, the report details that older employees prefer fully remote work setups as opposed to the hybrid model chosen by their younger counterparts. Those falling into the Generation Z age range liked working full-time in the office to make work-based connections with fellow employees and assist in fast-tracking their career growth. On the flip side, 42% of baby boomer tech workers chose full-time remote work as their ideal work setup. For those falling into the categories of Gen Xers and Millennials, a hybrid work style is preferred. Per the survey, 50% of millennials and 47% of Gen Xers favor this option due to having additional responsibilities at home, such as children, while continuing to try and grow their own personal careers. Flexibility is key for those employees to thrive in the new era of work. And per the World Economic Forum, Generation Z and Millennials will make up more than half of the tech workforce by 2025. Why focus on that age? Because per a recent survey by PwC, IT workers under 30 are 2.5 times less likely to stay long-term in a job than those over 50. And IT workers are more inclined than workers in other areas to quit, with IT workers showing a 10.2% lower intent to stay than non-IT employees. The final data point today? Carta looked at startup compensation based on the shift to remote work. Carta found that most startups, at around 84%, adjust compensation based on location. Startups with bigger valuations are more likely to keep pay the same across the board. Tweaking comp based on location will only become more common as the number of remote employees grows. Around 62% of new hires were based in a state outside the company's HQ, up from 35% in 2019. Why do we care? I'll remind listeners that the reason I keep covering this space is that it's both complicated and does not appear to have a single answer. Those areas are ripe for exploration and opportunity. There's a lot to perfect, Can you hire remotely, build culture, position and grow new leaders? Those that can will thrive. I've been thinking a lot about demographics, particularly as it relates to IT services. The common observation at most traditional IT services conferences is both how older and whiter it is. Then I pore over my YouTube data and I see how much younger that audience is. IT workers are more likely to leave. Why? I'd offer it's the numerous conflicting pressures of the role. Take everything else and layer this additional pressure on, the IT business owner has new pressures. They do say acknowledging the problem is the first step, right? This feels worthy of further exploration. Some right to repair stuff. After being announced in April, that iFixit and Google partnership is now live. Genuine parts for Google smartphones are now for sale in the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and European countries where Pixel is available. And a federal judge in Boston has said that the Supreme Court ruling related to the EPA will cause another delay in a lawsuit over the right to repair for automobiles. Back in 2020, a law was passed by 75% of the voters over the right to repair, but it's been held up by court challenges. Why do we care? Steps forward and backward. Two angles here. First, Google makes it easy, Apple makes it hard. When looking at mobile devices, that's the clear outcome. This shouldn't be a surprise. Google is building an ecosystem, Apple is not. I'm a bit more concerned about the court delay. No need to panic just yet, as the judge is reviewing rather than ruling. Right to repair is popular. The question is whether or not it will be fully realized.
Did you know Cisco helps managed services providers directly? Know about the Cisco Partner Program? Focused on helping partners combine managed services expertise and service creation with innovative Cisco technology and proven go-to-market resources. There's a program option for you. With provider pricing, MDF, and marketing resources, coupled with Cisco's leading technologies including Meraki, Duo, and Umbrella, learn more with the link right in the show notes.
A new report from Action One says that 23% of small and mid-sized businesses are looking to replace their current managed services provider. 48% of respondents complained about performance issues with devices, which was the top factor that would cause them to change. Another major reason was outages or unplanned system reboots, which 33% of respondents reported. Unrelated, IR announced their findings on MSPs too. 52% of organizations interviewed are focused on infrastructure modernization. With these evolving mandates, tech teams are engaging MSPs to help them achieve business goals. While 43% are scaling existing technology, 36% are deploying new technologies. Their key point? CIOs and tech teams are witnessing a shift in their mandates. They are now also tasked with delivering business and customer outcomes. Why do we care? Roughly 25% of providers are breaking even or losing money too. Correlation is not causation, and I'm not necessarily directly relating the two. I'm just observing that not all providers are the same. And let's say it, not all are competent. Let's take the 2 points together. Customers will react badly to core service problems. And if you're not doing the entry-level, keeping things running part, they will leave. But that's just the barrier to entry. And if you want more leeway for any possible stumbles, you'd better focus on these business goals. It's easier for a customer to forgive a stumble when you're driving the bottom line directly. One of the facts I've referenced for years is how IBM continues to manufacture mainframes, and new versions even. I do so to highlight how older technology remains valuable even many years after it's fashionable. Well, maybe the end is happening. FedEx announced last month that they were moving entirely to the cloud and had a plan to remove all mainframes by 2024. FedEx's CIO specifically noted it during their investor day, which is being pointed out as a key voice in the migrations. Why do we care? Pundits like me generally have shorter time frames with our projections than the reality on the ground. That said, mainframes are, at best, a niche market. They're a great example that technology never really dies, but do you want to be in that market? And at some point, the plug is pulled, and it's generally due to a business factor. Here, FedEx sees they can unlock more by abandoning the legacy tech. I do expect IBM to still sell mainframes, however. I just don't want to be that reseller. I spotted a piece of interesting data, quoting from ZDNet. In a recently released survey by San Francisco-based fintech Sophie, 75% of U.S. employees said they're stressed about their finances. Nearly half, at 40%, said they worry about inadequate retirement savings. 1/3 feel the weight of credit card debt. And more than 1/4, at 29%, said they're stressed out about not having enough money to pay for their mortgages and rents or food. The survey revealed that financial stress had impacted employees in various ways. 38% say it has worsened their sleep, 36% say it has affected their mental health, and 27% on their physical health. Moreover, 1/4 of employees surveyed said financial stress had crippled their motivation to pursue personal goals, while 22% said their relationships had been affected by it. In the workplace, be it in the home or in the office, nearly 1 in 5 employees, at 23%, said they'd had trouble focusing, and 18% have had issues with their productivity. The survey posed questions to the 800 HR leaders surveyed about what current financial benefits they offer to their employees, such as contribution benefits, financial resources, and education tools. More than 3/4, 77%, said they offer such resources. The survey revealed that of the top 5 benefits, 70% of companies surveyed say they offer retirement matching or 401ks, 69% offer financial planning tools, 63% offer access to a financial planner or advisor, 61% offer financial education, seminars or courses, and 58% offer budget planning tools. Of the employees surveyed, 64% want employers to build benefits to help them build an emergency savings fund and retirement matching, while 62% want financial planning tools and 61% want budget planning tools. What's more, 60% want home ownership assistance. But why is there a disconnect between what employers say they offer versus employees who feel they don't have such benefits? The SoFi survey revealed that an average of 38% of employees aren't using their benefits, mainly because of the quality of benefits and awareness. 23% of workers said their financial benefits are poor, while 21% say they don't know how to get started using them. Moreover, 19% say they didn't realize such benefits existed. Why do we care? I'm doing a live stream tomorrow to answer some Q&A, and I'm anticipating a question related to career development, which is why this data is probably on top of my mind. The mismatch between what employees give benefits versus what employers are utilizing and vice versa, it's a familiar refrain. In software, it's known that most features aren't used. Similar here in benefits. Finding the unlock here feels key. I'm not sure I have an answer. That said, my thought would be that this is where smaller companies can be more agile. It's far easier to devote one-on-one attention to employees regarding their needs when your staff is 10 versus 100 or 1,000. Could be as simple as just spending more time with them, and that investment could pay off. I feel like I've been ignoring security news, so let's discuss some key ones. I've seen multiple discussions of APIs lately. Well, Imperva has released Quantifying the Cost of API Insecurity, a new study that uncovers the rising global costs of vulnerable or insecure APIs. The Marsh McLennan Cyber Risk Analytics Center survey found that larger organizations were statistically more likely to have a higher percentage of API-related incidents. Enterprises with revenues of at least $100 billion were 3 to 4 times more likely to experience API insecurity than small or mid-sized businesses. The study also discovered substantial disparities between industries. IT, professional services, and retail will most likely suffer API-related security incidents. Those industries dominated the risk. New warnings about Medusa Locker, who are using RDP as their primary entryway. The CISA and FBI warning highlights this approach, as the group operates with a ransomware as a service model. The FBI and MI5 have also issued a very sharp warning about China in a joint address. Quote, "The Chinese government is set on stealing your technology, whatever it is that makes your industry tick, and using it to undercut your business and dominate your market." Why do we care? China coming for your business was not on my 2022 bingo card. The warning is rather product-oriented, yet still resonates for service organizations. What can be stolen in your organization that would result in a competitive disruption? I included the API data as it's related to the move to the cloud. In my mind, not yet a small and mid-sized business problem. Sure, you have enough on your plate to worry about right now. Just know that the lead value in helping customers with the cloud is the integration of cloud systems, and thus this area of API security. Cybersecurity burnout is real. Per a survey by Bridewell, 95% are experiencing factors that would make them likely to leave in the next 12 months. These leaders overwhelmingly attributed their desire to leave their position to two dominant causes. 42% say a cyber breach is inevitable and do not want it to tarnish their career, and 40% say stress and burnout heavily impact their personal lives. 72% of respondents say cyber attacks have increased since Russia invaded Ukraine, and 79% think their operations will be significantly disrupted by ransomware in the next 12 months. Similar warnings out of the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre. They're warning for an extended period of heightened cyber threats and ensuring actions are taken to prevent burnout. Why do we care? Marathon, not a sprint. Yesterday I talked about employee benefits. Well, stress management is a part of that. A business, particularly one involved in security, needs to be sustainable, which is not a short-term problem. Lurching from incident to incident isn't going to cut it, and legacy IT businesses have likely never had to handle this much stress. I wish I had some quip or easy answer, but I will note that those who invest here will see long-term rewards. I wanted to mention Apple's new lockdown mode for iOS coming this fall. It's a specific model designed for a limited number of users, being explicitly targeted by hackers that reduces functionality in exchange for security. It's an aggressive lockdown too, disabling message attachment types, link previews, complex web technologies like just-in-time JavaScript compilation, wired connections with a computer or accessory being disabled, configuration profiles being blocked, and no enrollment in MDM while the mode is on. Why do we care? Well, file this one away under useful tactics. And going into the weekend, I'll make my rare product observations. N-able has purchased SpinPanel, which makes a product, quote, focused on managing, automating, and selling Microsoft 365 and Azure solutions. Disclosure, I'm a shareholder in N-able from my previous employment there. Acronis announced an integration with Splashtop, allowing Acronis Cyber Protect Cloud to offer remote desktop control within the product. Why do we care? The coverage of N-able's purchase kept using the enables the sales of Azure and M365. Well, that's wrong. You don't need these products to sell it. I'll argue you need integrated consoles for efficiency, sure, but not to sell. Yes, it includes a margin and price management component. I just personally wouldn't focus there. That said, further development in that cloud management space. If N-able focuses too much on Azure, they're missing the more significant opportunity, and I'm much more interested in SaaS management than infrastructure management. It may be time to re-examine this space. I wonder if Acronis is slowly building some RMM-adjacent product. If one squints, you can see configuration management, security, and remote control tools being the right toolkit. It felt like a small but significant move.
Thanks for your time and attention. Time is a finite resource, and I really value you giving me some of yours. If you like this video, you can let me know with a like of the video, and even more valuable, hitting the subscription button. My content is all free, and I use metrics like subscriptions to pay the bills, so it has real value. The content here is produced under ethics guidelines posted at businessof.tech. If you're interested in more content like this, you can get access to content early via our Patreon at patreon.com/MSPradio. It's our give what you want model where you set the value of what you think the content is worth. If you like this podcast, you can catch it daily as the 5-minute news and commentary show, The Business of Tech, available on all your favorite podcatchers with links at businessof.tech. Just hit that big blue button to subscribe. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day to listen, and I really value the interaction. If you want to say something in the comments, I do respond and watch all that, and I look forward to talking to you next time.